And Alex Daugherty on the forecheck, I got to tell you that I felt when I did hear about, and that was all over the internet, that was the big story. Oh no, Mike Fisher and Carrie Underwood are getting a divorce. The first thing that I thought kind of was, well, this does make some sense on why Fisher would want to make a comeback. I mean, let's face it, you have a personal, shall I say, tragedy or something, happening like this. You want to go back, find your worth, find your own celebrity, but find also your own belonging. And suddenly it made perfect sense to me on what was on what was happening. I don't know if that thought has crossed your mind. Of course, it will be during the playoff time a little bit distressing that Carrie Underwood won't be singing the national anthem or in the stands, but I guess it's that much less snarky memes than on the internet. But I guess one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, in addition to the fact that the Predators have been winning some very exciting games, so has the Finnish Olympic hockey team, with last offseason's number one draft choice of the Predators lighting the lamp a lot. What can you tell me about this Finnish hockey player who, I'm going to give it to you to pronounce his name because I don't know how to pronounce Eeli.
As far as I know, it is Eeli Tolvanen.
So not Eli, but Eeli. Okay.
Yeah, Eeli Tolvanen. I like to call him Eeli Tolvanen because he scores a lot of goals. But he's been fantastic for the KHL. So he was a guy that really fell in the draft, and a lot of people were kind of shocked. And then when the Predators got a chance to draft him in 2017, they were really excited to get him because he's a guy that has a lot of scoring talent. He was probably the second best shooter in the entire draft class last year, and he fell to 30th. So they jumped on him. He goes out and he breaks the rookie scoring record for Daugherty in the KHL. And I know that there's probably not a lot of KHL watchers in your broadcast area. I'd be shocked if there were, but basically all that means is that he's probably the best rookie the KHL has seen in quite some time. And what that means is he can at the end of the KHL season, which is probably the playoffs start soon, and I think probably by early mid-April they'll be done. He can break his contract, come directly over and play for the Predators if they want to, and there's been a lot of talk about that. He could come over. He signed a 2-year deal with his KHL team, but every player there wants to play in the NHL, would prefer to anyway. So he would easily break that and come over and play. I don't know that it would work out. It'd be kind of a risk because if he comes over, he burns a year on his entry-level contract. He's only 19 years old. Maybe that's not a good idea, but I think it's worth the risk because the guy could be an elite-level shooter a la Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Tarasenko, a lot of those sort of European-style shooters that can come over and light the lamp. So I think people are pretty excited about it.
Well, remember this with the KHL, the Continental Hockey League, and yeah, I mean, it's like overseas basketball. People, what is that? But Tim Thomas, the great Boston Bruins goalie who led them to several Stanley Cup championships earlier this decade, he came from the KHL. And the American goaltender, Ryan Zapolsky, also has been playing in the KHL after playing in the ECHL, minor league hockey here in the States, for many years. And a lot of people are saying, could Zapolsky make the same move that Thomas did several years ago, even in his 30s? And in the case of Tolvanen, he's 19. Now, let's just say he did stick around. I mean, is there any reason, you mentioned everybody wants to join the NHL, but in addition, you said to maybe burning 1 year or so, is there any other reason you could foresee Tolvanen staying in the KHL for another year and not necessarily helping the Predators in a playoff drive?
I really don't see it happening. It would be one thing if he was a Russian player that grew up in the KHL and really became a fan of the team. But he's a Finnish guy. He was actually going to attend Boston University to play college hockey in the United States. But there was an issue with the transcript maybe, and he didn't have the classes he needed coming out of high school. So that didn't work out. So he really sounds like the North American game is where he wants to go. That sounds like where he ultimately wants to end up. So I really don't see it. Now, will he come back for this season? Don't know. But I think if he's in the KHL next year, I would really be shocked. So this guy will be stateside playing for either the Milwaukee Admirals, which is the Predators, or
May I ask you how you handle the Olympics when you do have someone which has such a Predators draw, such a Predators rooting interest? I mean, and when the NHL stars were in the Olympics, I got to admit to you, I didn't, weep when USA only finished with a silver medal because it was in overtime when Sidney Crosby defeated him. When Canada won the gold medal game in 2002, I was very happy for Mario Lemieux, and for that matter, when the Czech Republic overcame a long losing streak in the Olympics to finally take gold in '98, I was happy for Jaromir Jagr and Dominik Hasek. I don't know if this makes me any less of a patriot or not. I don't think so, but that's the way I felt. Do you feel the same way with Finland? Almost like, if it's Finland and USA, I can go either way, or I might even pull a little for Finland when Eeli has the puck.
Yeah, I definitely. I would think people are rooting for Finland. I think also, and actually, these two teams play. I think maybe tomorrow or the next day. But Sweden is another team that I think a lot of people might cheer for because the Predators themselves have just modeled their recruitment after Swedish players. They have a lot of Swedish players. They have a lot of great recruits in Sweden and Finland. So Sweden and Finland both are worthwhile teams to follow. And Sweden as well also has a rich history of incredible hockey players. Of course, there's Peter Forsberg, leads the list, Matt Sundin. A lot of really good players coming out of Sweden. The Sedin twins. But, Sweden, Finland, both are quite good. The USA is just, it's one of those things where they will never really compete for a gold medal. They did a couple of years, 2010, Vancouver, they got the silver behind Canada. It's just not really something they're going to do anytime soon. So you might as well root for the really good teams like Sweden, Finland, Canada.
Well, all right. He's not anytime soon. I don't know. American hockey, I mean, in terms of participation, is now in terms of players about equal with Canada. So, perhaps if not this year, I mean, certainly a lot of people just hoping for, it won't be a miracle on ice situation, but rather an earned on ice situation if the Americans would get the gold. But yes, they weren't picked to be get the gold, I should say. But they weren't picked to be one of the favorites in this year's Olympics. And of course, you saw what happened to, Slovenia in the opening round? I know the Americans did win last night against Slovakia, but even that, it's a little bit difficult to watch these games sometimes because that one came on at 10 at night, and I got up with my coffee at 6:30 to watch the opening round game, so it can be a little bit difficult.
Well, I think in particular the U.S. team especially hurt with not having any NHL involvement in it.
Sure.
I mean, the captain for the United States team is like 40-year-old Brian Gianta, who is not exactly an elite level player right now. If he ever was an elite level player, I guess he's pretty good with the Devils. But but Canada obviously has just a horde of talent everywhere, even players who are not in the NHL or even the OHL or the Western Hockey League or anywhere else. They've got players that can squeeze in there, as well as Sweden and Finland, like I mentioned. USA really doesn't have that. Unless they're playing in the NHL or playing college hockey, they're not over there.
I would say, I did mention to people around here, there are actually 4 players on the American roster, though, that come from the Sun Belt. Now, I mean, that also says that the northern D.C. suburbs are the Sun Belt, but Virginia, that's a neighboring state. I realize it's not Bristol, it's Vienna, which is, practically Washington, D.C., but it is Virginia, and, there's players from Florida, born in North Carolina, and even Arizona on the American roster this year. So, I mean, it really is, showing you the changes in hockey. It's not just, it hasn't been for years and years just Massachusetts and Minnesota anymore. So, that's one of the reasons I have Alex Daugherty on to talk about from ontheforecheck.com to talk about the Predators and why the Predators really have, I think, taken something of a hold throughout all of Tennessee in terms of a fan base. But what happened last night against Calgary?
I think, to be honest, it was the culmination of the way the Predators have been playing for the last week. They really have not looked all that great on the ice, despite getting some good results. They got an overtime win against the Blues, same thing with the Canadians, a shootout win against They went to overtime 5 straight times in a row. But they had to come back in a lot of those games. And last night they had a lead, lost it, then they go down 4-2, and they almost tie it up. You know, the Flames are pretty good. They're probably a playoff team. They had an undrafted rookie in goal, and you don't like losing to an undrafted rookie in goal in your home barn, all that often. But sometimes that just happens. The guy gets hot and has a lot of confidence. So I think that they'll be okay. They were without Kyle Turris last night. He had an illness, probably some sort of flu bug going around. Some people think maybe there's more than one guy that's dealing with sickness too. So it's probably just a lull in February that a lot of teams can go through, and I think that they can battle back because they've got the talent to carry this thing.
Well, was Ric Flair in the house last night? I'm asking that. Now, I got to tell you what I mean by that. Is that what is this? There's this new cheer they're doing that you don't like. It's woo! I mean, what is that?
It is the most annoying sound because I think what happens is a few fans pick it up and then they just roll with it and keep going. It's worse than the wave in my mind. It is worse than the wave, and the wave is pretty bad. But it's worse than a wave because it's audible and it's an annoying sound. And it always seems like the Predators give up a goal whenever it happens, too.
There's becoming a very scary alliance almost with professional wrestling and the NHL sometimes. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to cater to they're trying to cater to the same fan base. I know, I'll tell you, back in Pittsburgh, Mark Madden was known for announcing both sports quite well. If one can call pro wrestling a sport and not an event or whatever you want to call it, an exhibition. But that's and I should point out he edited Ric Flair's biography, or autobiography. So there you go. I guess maybe now we know where woo comes from or so. It's as good a theory as any. But anyway,
wrestling feel to it,
yeah. What should we look forward to for the Predators until Mike Fish? What's coming up?
But they go on a road trip. I think next week they have 2 more home games the next stretch, and then they go to Detroit, and then they come back home. They've got some tough matchups coming up. They got to play the Blues again. They got to play the Jets, who are probably their biggest competition in the Central now. The Jets are a fantastic team. Then they go out west, and out west travels are not great. And then when March hits after the trade deadline, they got a lot of home games. They need to win some of these home games and to move that home ice advantage to the playoffs.
Well, it's getting to that point. I mean, now where I think the focus comes in on hockey, certainly. I mean, the playoffs are about 2 months away. You've got right now a feel of who's hot, who's not, who will you play in the bottom seeds. And let's face it, it's in hockey, 8s do beat 1s. Look at what the Predators did last year. So it's getting to be that time where you really start to focus in on it. And frankly, I love my ETSU Buccaneer basketball, but the games are really, college basketball meaningless until tournament times come around. So that's another reason to check out the Predators. And for that matter, Eeli Tolvanen on the Finnish hockey team. That's the star of the future for the Predators. Tri-City Sports Now coming back with a little bit of talk. Could the NFL draft be coming to Tennessee? I'll tell you about it when we come back. All right. Thank you very much. Was that good? Was there anything else you wanted to say or that I should keep my eye on or something? All right. Sounds fantastic. All right. Thank you now. Bye-bye.